Welcome to the OVAReact podcast.
In a society that tries to put women in a box.
Let's OVAReact. I'm your host, Momo Hoya.
It's your girl, Lasha Angela.
And it's your girl, Angela Wamboy. And today we're joined by the lovely
Mama Bima Kenya. And ladies, I have a new title now. Award-winning Mama Bima Kenya.
Yeah, your flowers. Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Wow. We talk about insurance and we all think about that guy in a suit, blue shirt, coming to sell insurance to you. But you're changing the face of insurance. What inspired you? Why Mama Bima? Why insurance? And before you even share that, who is Charlene? Who is Mama Bima? Yeah.
So, a passionate, I like to say a friendly insurance agent.
You are.
Yes.
You are.
Also now, beyond the work, beyond Mama Bima, a mom, a wife, a sister, a friend, a daughter. So beyond the work also, someone in the community doing my part, to make a difference. But I'm also very passionate about what I do day to day. It's now been a journey of 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I like to say...
5 years this year?
5 years last
year.
November.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And I like to say that how I got into insurance, it was really not like my first choice of career. Straight after straight after college, so I got married to an insurance agent. Oh. But during that time, I was working in the finance industry. So my first role was in a stock brokerage company. Then I moved to fund management. And lastly, I was in an investment bank.
Okay.
And along the way, as I moved through the different phases of life, I became a mom. I would see like my husband's colleagues come to visit us. Kushogia mtoto, kushika mtoto.
Yes.
And they were just so full of life. Like it would be like on a random Wednesday and they feel, back then we were living in Kino, and they feel our living room and they're just laughing from somewhere deep in their tummy. And I would be like, what? The girls would walk into the living room and then you're like, oh my, who's that? Is that Beyonce? Like they look so beautiful, so they glow. And they were just generally happy. And I think that started to intrigue me.
Okay.
I started to get an interest because at the time I was in that kind of environment, work-wise. It wasn't like the most... it was a company where I had gone in like a ray of sunshine, and in about 3 years or so, I had withered down and just, you couldn't even recognize me. So I think at the point I was feeling, new phase of life. Now I'm a mom, big dreams. And I was thinking I needed a career change. So at the time, now I was looking at these people from the insurance business because, that little young man, the picture we have of insurance agents.
Yes.
When you get into the industry, that's not really who you find. Of course, there's that part. When you're starting off, it's hard. I think I also started out like that. That little boy who's stomaching on the road, chasing after people. I was the one chasing after people like 5 years ago. But it's a start. I remember when I started out, I was always on a border, running like from one meeting to the other. I could not afford, say, an Uber. And possibly every time I try to do my math and think, before I take a math 3 there and get to town and run, So maybe that's the starting point for most of us. But that little boy, that young man who's usually tamarking, looking really beat up, in a year or two, you also meet him, you're like, wow.
Is that the same bank?
When did it get so polished? So yes, I transitioned into the business in 2019.
So the first influencer is your husband?
Yes, mentor.
Yeah.
Especially. I saw him, I saw his colleagues. I loved it. I thought they were happy. I thought they prioritized friendships. I felt they had time for each other. And I wanted a little bit of that.
There was a community.
Yes.
Do you think the whole picture we have around this insurance guy is because we also feel like insurance as a conversation? Because as Africans, we know the insurance needs, you just take the wheel. And insurance is tuko pamoja chama.
Yes.
And in the West, insurance, like it's a very big thing. Yes. Do you think it's the way we we consume that information regarding insurance or lack of information that make people look at the insurance brokers, salespeople in that light.
So, the young man who's tamarking on the road or at the mall and is chasing after you down the corridors, or if they spot you with a child, they run to you and tell you, "I can sell to you an education plan." Maybe it's how most of us were inculcated into the industry the wrong way. If you get maybe the right mentorship into the business, you'll probably, handle that just differently. But you'll realize in Kenya, Harambee has always been our insurance. That Harambee spirit. And I mean, it's a big thing.
Girl, but it sometimes needs to stop.
Yes. But for the longest time, Harambee was the insurance in our society, where if a breadwinner passed away, the community would then come together and figure out how will the kids go to school. Do you get?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, over time, as we urbanize and everything, that spirit now is starting to
change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are at a point where now insurance can no longer be an afterthought in our households. It needs to be a necessity.
Yeah. Also, life has changed. Challenges are a bit more in terms of even I can't always give. Like I remember when my aunt moved to Kenya, she called me and she said, "You gave me the great tips, but you didn't tell me how I need to have money aside for a wedding, for a funeral, for a thing." And so, I think you can't keep giving. And so, yes, the narrative has to change. And as Mo had rightly put, is insurance is really big in the West, and eventually that had to catch up with us,
Yes.
A lot more people, we're burying a lot more people than we were many years ago.
Yes.
So, and then even health challenges, well, you just said 5 years ago, so it means that you started during COVID, which we'll get into that in a minute. But things like COVID also made our health challenges increase. Hormones are changing, who we are as ladies, giving birth is difficult, it's not as easy, and there's so many things. So I do agree that insurance narrative is at the point where you have to consider it just as you would consider anything else, like the way you consider food for your fridge. I think before we even get to the understanding of insurance, I'm pretty sure it was a challenging time starting during COVID.
Yes.
And starting and finding a way to exist through it and after it. Took us through that.
So now, started out in 2019, I was upbeat and I was on a race to try and replace my income, what I was earning with my previous employer. And December, remember, I exited in October from my formal job.
In 2018?
No, 2019.
Okay.
And in December, I actually made more than what I was earning in my previous role.
Wow.
So I was like, Lord, this is the sign I've been asking you for. I knew now I'm meant to be. This is it for me. Then, of course, COVID happened shortly after.
Yeah, 2 months, because January and February must have also not been as great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then mid-March,
Damn,
the shutdown.
Hard start.
But do you know, somehow, even during COVID, I don't know, somehow we made it through.
Somehow.
I was indoors for 3 months? Remember, I had a very young baby at the time, maybe a year and a half, thereabout. And I was so scared. The narrative was, if you go out, you'll bring COVID back into the house. So when I tell you I was indoors for 3 months, it was like a total shutdown. But do you know that's actually where Mama Bima was born?
Because now it became about digital
Yes.
and teaching. Okay.
Because during COVID, I started just experimenting with using WhatsApp. So when I first joined, the first thing my husband taught me is to go out and sell. So we had a small office within Kilimani, and I would walk say to Yaya Center and just move shop by shop, by the way, introducing myself. And there's one time where I was literally rejected in every business I walked into. And I was so frustrated. By the time I got like to the topmost floor, went back, there's a restaurant on the ground floor, sat there, stress ate. And of course, at that point, I was telling myself, you need to figure out a different way of doing this. Because remember, when I was in investment banking and my formal roles, I had never done a sales job.
Yes.
So this was the very first time. So probably even my introduction was all off. Maybe I was the young man walking on the streets. I was definitely that young agent. So when COVID hit, I realized that, one, we are indoors. I need to reach out to people, say on what? On WhatsApp. So I started broadcasting, just simple messages. Hey, I can help you maybe with your motor insurance. And I know you currently have a provider, but when it's due for renewal, please give me an opportunity to just show you comparative quotes. And we see if I can get you a better,
deal.
Yeah, a better deal. And that's where it started. And by the time now we were getting back to normal, quote unquote, like normal life, like I came out and I think I had gotten a little confidence and I could do some videos. And that was actually the beginning of the whole Mama Bima brand.
And you'd never done any content or videos or anything like that?
I didn't even have a social media page. Like I didn't even have a Facebook page. I hope people can understand it was...
Okay.
And
Clean start.
If you go, for people who've managed to really scroll down to my very first videos, especially on Facebook, especially agents in the industry, they like to see where I started. They laugh. They can't even believe. I would be like on a live, like on a Facebook live, and everything would just fall. Like, because maybe my phone, I would put it like on a stack of books, then it would just fall. I would be kicked out of the live, So I started from a point of not even knowing what I was doing.
But you started.
Just started.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think you came such a time where like insurance was very traditional. So I remember at some point we worked with your husband.
Yes.
So for context,
Yes.
in 2020 I worked for an insurtech startup that was trying to digitize agencies in Kenya.
Yes.
So one of your insurance was one of the very first clients that I got on board, and others that I got from you guys.
Yes.
And it's interesting to see what that journey has mapped or panned out to be, like from your insurance or your motor car is due. But I'm on the road, I'm driving, I don't even have like an SMS that told me, you need to renew, your renewal is up to, is up to date.
Yes.
Or rather your renewal it's upcoming. So can you talk about how insurance has changed, or rather how tech has changed insurance
Yes.
over the years? And maybe Angela, you have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely, the insurance landscape is really going digital. And even us as agents, we have to stay ahead of the game if we want to stay relevant, because we've gotten a lot of insurtechs coming into the business. In some 3 or so weeks, I'll also be launching the Mama Bima app. Yay! And really...
Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive.
Yes, you had it first,
Right here.
So, and where I'm coming from, because we've been working on this, I would call it's been a labor of love. We've put in so much work with a tech team that I'm working with, because we wanted it to be differentiated from all the other platforms that are currently there in the market. Because you may notice that a lot of people going maybe into insurtech are more like businessmen and women, as opposed to people who are passionate about insurance. So sometimes you'll get maybe onto a platform, you're like, that question, that's not what I'd ask a client typically. So I'm keen on bringing an app where you can hear the voice of your financial advisor. You can hear the voice of your agent. It feels natural. But this is a space that even as agents, we have to really play in, because at this point, we can no longer afford not to tell our clients that renewals are upcoming. You lose that client, for them to be on the road, and then it's the traffic cop, who's telling them, Kitui may expire. Yes. You get. So definitely things are really digitizing. Now, one thing that I love is a lot of my colleagues in the business, I really love agents in the business, are also moving to social media. For a long time, I was like the lone voice there, and I never used to get why. People would always come, Mama Bima, let's have coffee. We'd have coffee. I'd show them how to shoot a reel, from the basics. I'd show them the resources, like who I learned from, like all the YouTube pages I would watch to learn. But they'd tend maybe to mark time a little bit, that a year later they'd want like a refresher course. Like what? Like another coffee.
They're not putting into practice what you're teaching them.
Yes, but right now you can see a lot of agents actually getting into social media, becoming really serious about it, even hiring teams to help them, with that. So I think in terms of now leveraging on the resources that are available, either on social media, on digital, there's that movement towards that. And I think also people are realizing that with these digital tools, you're able to get a very wide reach. You'll be able to reach people in Kisumu, in Mombasa. And these are really great platforms to educate people, because every Kenyan is on their phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get. So, yeah, there's that movement, definitely. Yes.
Lovely. I love your journey thus far. You truly are the definition of walk by faith, not by sight.
Oh, yeah.
And just hearing what you've done in 5 years' time is amazing. So kudos to you. For anyone out there that might want to be an aspiring entrepreneur, we know there's a lot of challenges and hurdles that you face. What are the top 3 words of advice you give for anyone that is trying to pivot from their corporate 9-to-5 into entrepreneurship?
Top 3 words: master your craft. Like, get into it. When I came in, I barely knew what insurance was, really. I couldn't even tell you what let me give you a story. My very first heartbreak.
Girl.
My very first heartbreak in this business, I had gotten a gentleman who wanted a motor cover, and we met in town. So back in the day, I would really try to look like I knew what I was doing, but it's my husband behind the scenes who would be doing for me like the quotations and everything. And I'd just say on WhatsApp. So we agreed to meet in town. I went with the application form and he filled. So we were seated in a restaurant and he excuses himself for a few minutes and he leaves and he just texts me. I think he realized that I had like zero understanding of what I was trying to do. So he leaves with a form and he just texted me. He's like, you know what? The company that you've proposed, I have a good friend of mine who works there, so I'll just give them the business. Oh, my Lord. I cried. But then I'm a crier. Oh, Lord. I cried in that restaurant. But it was a good, learning. It was a lesson
but you
at that
have such
point.
an amazing supportive spouse. at least,
You've
yes.
come from so
Oh yeah,
far.
right now I can sell motor insurance with my eyes closed. You know what? Because what I learned from that was master your craft.
Yeah.
Like invest in learning.
Yeah.
And I started moving literally from one underwriter, like the insurance companies. When I'd hear say this company X has a training, you'd find me there. Company Y has a training on medical insurance, you'd find me there. Nice. And these trainings start as early as 6:30 or 7. Like our meetings
AM.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And they are physical meetings.
Okay.
So I made a point of always showing up to train, to upskill. So for entrepreneurs, someone who's looking to go into business, master your craft. And there's just something about consistency, just be consistent. I don't think that as Mama Bima, I think when we were starting, I talked of award winning. I think I'm still reeling from the excitement of being recognized at the Aki Awards.
From the girl who was in the restaurant, somebody walked out, gave someone on stage receiving awards.
Yes.
Look at you.
And being, given an accolade for the #1 medical insurance agent in the country. Wow. I mean, out of 11,000 agents in the country, you're top. Wow. And the 4th.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Can you just say that again for a minute?
Oh, thank you.
No, just take that in.
Yes.
Like 1 out of
11,000 plus
agencies across the
and number 4 in life insurance are the 4th life insurance agents in the country. I mean, as I went onto that stage, you look at the other agents whom you have the honor of going onto that stage with. nobody does that when you're 5 years in the business. Like you'll find people have been doing this for 30 years, for 20-something, for 17, you know. That's when now you get to quote unquote say like your prime in our business. So to be able to do that, say in 5 years, it's possibly because, you know, you're probably going that extra mile to ensure that you are really learning, you know, that you are trying to also look what are other avenues other than the way insurance has always been done traditionally. How else can I reach more Kenyans? And I'm also grateful by that. I've not done it alone. I'm grateful for platforms like the OVAReact podcast, you know, because just by being on this platform, then there's someone who's probably out there who'll interact with Mama Bima for the very first time. So back to your question, Angela, I don't know why I keep pointing.
No, it's okay. We love hearing
for
your
the
journey.
entrepreneur who's considering, you know, moving out of their 9 to 5. One, just master your craft in whatever field you're going into. Be consistent. Really, just keep showing up. Keep showing up until it, you know that thing of get rich or die trying. Like, just do it. Keep showing up. Be consistent with it.
Yeah. So beyond what we know as insurance, you know, you're cushioning yourself from something unseen, right? But also it's become like a vehicle for investment and, you know, it's changing people's lives. For anyone who is listening in, maybe just in a very layman's language, maybe give us a scenario of how maybe one premium or one package can change one's life. So, for example, Mo, 29 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
She be 29. She be 29.
Yes. Do I look a day older than 29? So how can one package or one, you know, insurance product can change or unlock my wealth creation journey? Yeah.
So insurance is diverse. Of course, we have the different types of of insurance. I think what you're referring to is possibly like a high-value life insurance policy. And of course, this would, in terms of how I like to approach insurance, is in a very bespoke manner. Like, so I've met Mo, she's 29. What are her needs? What is she looking to secure?
Millionaire?
Yes. So if I meet 29
looking to secure a millionaire, you're looking to secure millions, just for clarity.
I'll be the millionaire to be secured.
Yes. So now, one thing that a lot of Kenyans have not yet sort of like connected is that insurance is the protection for the wealth that you're building. So a lot of us are putting a lot of effort in investments. You know,
insurance is the protection.
Yes, for your wealth pillar. Okay, so a lot of us are putting so much effort in doing investments, in our savings, but when it comes to the insurance, very little action there. So you find, you know, someone has, you know, set aside investments, even in a treasury bond, say up to, 5 million, right? Then they get a health crisis, you know. They're admitted in hospital, and you have to liquidate your treasury bond so that you can cover those kind of expenses. You get? So I keep saying, insurance, one, should not be breaking your bank. Okay? So insurance is very affordable. At 29, even a 5,000, a high-value policy, if you're paying, say, 5,000 per month, you'd probably be able to secure anything between 12 to 13 million in sum assured.
Wow.
Yes. And you're probably paying that over 20 years. So that would maybe have you putting in 5 by 12, that's 60, 20 years, 1.2, you know, and you'll have secured possibly a fund of about 12, 13 million that is also growing over time because it has a bonus or an inflation guard. So by the end of the time, it's not even a 12 million estate, it's probably 18, and you put in 1.2. And the guarantee that insurance gives you, and I think this is what many people don't realize, is, God forbid, if anything happens to you, I like to remind people, insurance is really not passive for you. Okay, especially
it's
if
for
you're
the
taking
protection of others who are going to be supporting you, your family.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially if you have people who depend on you financially.
Yeah.
you need insurance. Now, just sit down with your insurance agent and figure out and start from a point of these are my needs, and they will show you this is what is available in the market. Okay, then now you narrow in on the right solution for your need. But yes, beyond even now your personal insurance, your assets, I like to say, if you value it, please insure it. Okay, if you would go at a financial loss,
the profound statement.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. If you value it,
yes.
Insure it.
insure it.
Is your car insured?
Yes.
Good.
Oh, comprehensive.
Exactly.
Yes.
Comprehensively.
I have
Love it.
Cynthia's
Yes. Oh, you have? Oof. Okay. Yes.
story for another day.
Yes. So even for your own health, get that medical cover, even if it's just an inpatient policy. Okay. Because sometimes maybe for outpatient, you're like, I'm relatively healthy. I'm able to cater for whatever consultation fee if I need to. But for inpatient can be the thing that just devastates you financially. So ensure you have that 1 million locked in, 2 million worth of coverage from the insurance policy.
I love
They
that.
say
You
we
have-
are one illness from poverty.
Yes, one health crisis away from bankruptcy.
Wow.
definitely taken us to school.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So much to learn. And of course, because of time, we won't be able to exhaust everything. With what you know now, as we come to an end, what would you do differently? And also share how people can connect with you. Because, girl, this should be your insurance agent.
Yeah.
I see why
Yes.
you got the awards. I see why that your consistency, and you've even taken a fresh angle using technology, especially digital media, and you did it at the prime time when we were doing nothing but watching Netflix and scrolling. So
Yes.
it was at the right time, and you're definitely in the right space.
Yes. So what would I, and thank you for that, Lash. Oh, my Lord.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for this type of platform. What would I do differently? To be very honest, I really love the journey, that I've had over the past 5 years. So, of course, the first 3 years, I think I was just lost. I didn't know what I was doing for sure. But I was learning. Fortunately, I was learning. I was capacity building. Possibly maybe what I would do differently at that point is probably have more of my colleagues, work with more of my colleagues. Right now, I'm very keen on mentorship. Yes, I mentor younger agents in the business. And young is not even an age thing. I even have people in my team who are 50 plus. But they're rookies, they've just left, say, formal employment. They're looking, they can see the promise in insurance. Okay. So they join my team. I would probably, maybe a year and a half in, I would probably now start hand-holding a few, maybe not a few more, but more agents. Because now at this point, your Mama Bima, you're also really busy, but you find that so many of my colleagues, everyone wants to connect with Mama Bima. Everyone wants to have that coffee.
Yes.
Everyone, and it becomes also kind of, because I'm also trying to sell, I'm also trying to run my business.
Yes.
But yes, I think I would want to just handhold more people, even from a year and a half into the business. Now, how can people connect with me?
Yes, please.
I'm on all platforms as Mama Bima Kenya, IG, TikTok, even TikTok, guys. LinkedIn, Facebook. Yes, please let's connect. I use my platform mainly to educate. Okay, like today I had this post on motor insurance, and I was talking of the way most Kenyans do not want to add riders like excess protector and the PVT, the political violence and terrorism rider. And I always ensure that my captions are also very detailed. Or even on my YouTube page, I have a YouTube page called Mama Bima Kenya. I really love to use my platforms to educate. So please let's connect.
I love it.
I try to make it as exciting as possible as we can make insurance.
Yes.
But yes, I'm passionate about this. And the goal is to ensure that, as I said earlier, the goal is to make insurance a necessity and not an afterthought in Kenyan households.
Mic drop.
that.
Yes.
Amazing.
Mic drop.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you for all your nuggets of information and just also taking such a heavy topic like insurance and making it digestible for the everyday person. So.
And I think everyone keeps telling you, remember at Hills Connect when we were doing the Women in Wealth?
Yes.
A very seasoned entrepreneur was like, Charlene, continue doing what you're doing, educating, informing, because you're really very passionate and you're very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
Yeah. I might. Yeah, I'll see you kwa nyuma ya curtain. To think about that 29-year-old more.
Yes.
Who needs to invest in the millions.
And secure her 12 million plus.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the OVAReact podcast. We've had the amazing Mama Bima Kenya, and she shared how you can connect with her and learn. And even just for yourself, it's important to learn so that you can have the right... you might not necessarily need her as an agent, but because of what she's teaching, you'll know what to ask your agent so that you can get the best out of what you're putting money into. And that's what this podcast is also about, is to get you thinking differently. As much as you're overreacting with us, we want you to think differently and we want you to go and elevate at a higher level. So come back again with us next week, Wednesday, same time, 10 p.m. and we'll be sitting back in these seats overreacting. So ladies, I want to invite you to overreact with me. Ladies,
Let's do it.
Let's overreact.